The person who hurt you should be the easiest person to forget. They should be the one your mind deletes, the one your body rejects, the one your future self never wants to return to. But if you have ever loved someone who ignored you, confused you, pulled you close, pushed you away, made you feel chosen one day and disposable the next, you already know the painful truth. Sometimes the person who damages your peace becomes the person your mind keeps searching for. And that does not mean the relationship was special. It may mean your nervous system was trained. It may mean your brain learned to treat relief as love, uncertainty as chemistry, and a small piece of attention as proof that you are finally becoming enough. This is one of the darkest patterns in relationship psychology. Because from the outside, it looks irrational. Your friends may say, "Why do you still care?" You may ask yourself the same thing at 2 in the morning while staring at your phone, rereading old messages, checking if they watched your story, wondering whether the silence means they moved on. Whether you mattered, whether you were too much, whether you should have said something differently, you know they hurt you, you know you lost sleep, you know your confidence changed around them, and yet one message from them can still make your chest feel lighter. One sign of attention can still rewrite the whole story. That is the trap. Painful relationships often do not hook people through constant cruelty. They hook people through contrast. A cold day followed by warmth. A disappearance followed by affection. A cruel comment followed by tenderness. A period of doubt followed by a moment that feels like proof. Your brain does not only remember the pain, it remembers the relief after the pain. And relief can feel stronger than love when you have been emotionally starving. This is why someone who treated you inconsistently can feel harder to let go of than someone who treated you well. The safe person gives you peace, but the inconsistent person gives you a high after anxiety. The safe person lets your nervous system rest, but the unpredictable person keeps your nervous system alert, scanning, hoping, calculating, waiting for the next reward. And when your body has lived in that state long enough, calm can start to feel boring, while chaos can start to feel like passion. The first mechanism is intermittent reinforcement. In simple terms, it means you do not get the reward every time. You get it sometimes, and sometimes it's powerful. If someone always ignores you, eventually your mind may accept the pattern. If someone always loves you consistently, your body can relax. But when someone gives you affection unpredictably, your attention becomes trapped. You keep trying to figure out what caused the good moment. Was it because you were less needy? Was it because you looked better? Was it because you stopped texting? Was it because they were jealous? Was it because they finally realized your value? So you begin to study them. You study their tone, their timing, their silence, their mood, their online behavior, the words they use, the words they avoid. Without realizing it, you turn the relationship into a puzzle, and the person who created the uncertainty becomes the only person who seems able to solve it. That is not intimacy. That is emotional conditioning. A healthy connection does not require you to become a detective of someone else's affection, but an inconsistent connection forces your brain into prediction mode, and prediction mode feels intense because your nervous system believes the answer matters. This is why the smallest gesture from them can feel enormous. A normal good morning text from a stable person may feel pleasant, but a good morning text from someone who disappeared for 3 days can feel like oxygen, not because the text is deeper, but because your system was deprived. Scarcity makes attention feel more valuable than it is. When affection becomes rare, you stop asking whether it is enough. You start asking how to get it again. That is the moment self-worth begins to bend. You stop measuring the relationship by how safe it feels and start measuring yourself by how much attention you can recover. The second mechanism is cognitive dissonance. This is the discomfort that happens when two truths do not fit together. One truth says, "They hurt me." Another truth says, "I love them." One truth says, "I should leave this alone." Another truth says, "Maybe they did not mean it." One truth says, "They keep showing me who they are." Another truth says, "But the beginning was beautiful." To reduce the discomfort, the mind often tries to rescue the story. It says, "Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe they are just avoidant. Maybe they have trauma. Maybe they are scared of love. Maybe if I become calmer, more attractive, more independent, more patient, more understanding, they will return to the person I first met." Notice what happened there. Instead of holding them accountable for the pattern, your mind gives you a job. It makes their inconsistency into your assignment. This is why painful attachment exhausts you. You are not only missing a person, you are carrying a theory of how to make the relationship make sense. But understanding someone's wound does not mean you should keep volunteering your piece to their pattern. The third mechanism is the fantasy bond. Many people do not stay attached to the person as they are. They stay attached to the person as they were in the beginning, or the person they could become if only the right moment arrived. You remember the version of them that made you feel rare, because that version existed, even briefly. Your mind treats it as evidence. See, they can choose me. But the question is not whether someone can be kind for a moment. Almost anyone can be kind for a moment. The question is whether kindness is their pattern. The question is whether respect remains when they are stressed, insecure, bored, or no longer trying to win you. The beginning is not always the truth. Sometimes it is the audition. That is why the phrase, They were not always like this. Can keep people trapped. Of course, they were not always like this. If the pain had appeared on the first day, you might never have stayed long enough to bond. The mind does not attach to obvious danger. It attaches to danger, mixed with comfort. It attaches to the person who becomes both the wound and the bandage. The fourth mechanism is attachment activation. When someone becomes emotionally unavailable, especially after giving you closeness, your attachment system can become highly activated. You may feel urgency, anxiety, obsession, and a need to restore connection. This can look like love, but it is often alarm. Your body is not saying, "This person is good for me." It may be saying, "Connection feels threatened. Fix it now." That is why you can feel calm the moment they respond. Even if the response is low effort, that calm can be misleading. It feels like proof that they are your peace. But sometimes they are only the person who temporarily turns off the anxiety they helped create. This is the difference between love and withdrawal relief. Love expands your life. Withdrawal relief narrows your life around the next dose of contact. Love makes you more yourself. Withdrawal relief makes you negotiate with your own boundaries. Love can include longing, but it does not require you to abandon your dignity to feel chosen. When you miss someone who hurt you, ask yourself, do I miss their character? Or the relief I felt when they stopped hurting me for a moment? Do I miss them? Or the fantasy that one day this pain will be rewarded? These questions are uncomfortable because they interrupt the addiction to potential. Potential is dangerous because it lets you stay loyal to evidence that has not arrived. It lets you call hope a plan. The fifth mechanism is self-worth injury. When someone treats you as optional, part of you may not simply feel sad. Part of you may feel challenged. Their rejection becomes a verdict you want overturned. Their distance becomes a test you want to pass. Their inability to choose you becomes the one thing you think would prove you are finally enough. This is why people sometimes chase the person who made them feel small. They are chasing the restoration of self-esteem. But if the person who made you doubt your worth becomes the only person who can restore it, your healing stays in the wrong hands. That is why the self-worth reversal matters. The goal is not to become so perfect that they regret losing you. The goal is to stop using their reaction as the measurement of your value. Your value did not decrease because someone was inconsistent. Your nervous system became dysregulated because inconsistency is dysregulating. Your confidence did not disappear because they were above you. It weakened because you kept trying to earn stable treatment from an unstable pattern. There is a difference. One says you were not enough. The other says the environment was not safe enough for your self-trust to stay intact. If you want to break this bond, the first step is not to hate them. Hatred can still be attachment. The first step is to tell the truth without decorating it. Write what actually happened, not what it could have meant, not the potential, not the rare good days. Write the pattern. They disappeared. They came back when they felt you pulling away. They made you feel guilty for needing clarity. They gave affection when you stopped asking. They avoided accountability. They made you feel dramatic for reacting to confusion they created. Your mind needs a reality list because pain bonds survive on selective memory. When you are lonely, your brain will replay the beginning. It will replay the tender moments. It will replay the night you felt chosen. It will not automatically replay the waiting, the doubt, or the way you checked your phone like your worth was hiding inside a notification. So give your mind evidence. The second step is to stop confusing access with healing. Looking at their profile is not neutral if it reopens the wound. Reading old messages is not closure if it restarts the fantasy. No contact when used in a healthy way is not a trick to make someone panic. It is not a performance. It is not punishment. It is a detox from a pattern that trained your attention to orbit another person's availability. If you use silence only to get a reaction, you are still centered on them. If you use distance to recover your own clarity, you are coming back to yourself. The third step is to observe consistency, not intensity. Asks, how strongly do I feel this? Consistency asks, what keeps happening? Intensity can be created by uncertainty, jealousy, fear, chemistry, and longing. Consistency is created by character. A person who cares about you consistently does not make you audition for basic respect. They do not require you to decode whether you matter. They do not punish vulnerability with distance and then call you needy for noticing. The fourth step is to rebuild identity anchors outside the relationship. Painful attachment shrinks your world. It makes one person's attention feel like the main event. So healing requires expansion. Reconnect with routines that do not involve them. Move your body. Rebuild friendships. Create things. Sleep at normal hours. Self-respect is rebuilt through evidence that you can care for yourself, even when someone else does not. The fifth step is to let grief be grief. Some people think healing means suddenly feeling nothing. It usually does not. You may still miss them. You may still have waves. You may still remember the good moments and feel your chest tighten. That does not mean you should go back. It means your system is releasing a pattern that once felt like survival. Missing someone is not an instruction. Longing is not a command. Chemistry is not compatibility. And pain is not proof of depth. If there was emotional abuse, stalking, threats, coercive control, or any situation where you feel unsafe, this is bigger than a self-reflection exercise. Please reach out to qualified professional support, trusted people in your life, or local emergency resources. You do not have to turn danger into a lesson alone. But if what you are dealing with is the painful confusion of an inconsistent attachment, remember this: the person who hurt you may feel unforgettable because your nervous system was trained around their unpredictability. But training can be unlearned. The fact that peace feels unfamiliar does not mean it is wrong. Healthy love may feel quiet, but quiet does not mean empty. Sometimes the spark you are used to is your body recognizing danger before your mind is ready to admit it. One day, you may meet consistency and mistake it for boredom. You may meet calm and wonder where the intensity went. You may meet someone who does not make you chase, and part of you may not know what to do with that. That is when you pause. That is when you remember, love should not require self-abandonment. You do not have to win back the person who made you forget yourself. You have to come back to the part of you that learned to call pain connection. And when you do, you will not need their apology to begin healing. You will not need their regret to prove your worth. You will not need their return to make the story meaningful. The meaning will be this: you learn the difference between being wanted for a moment and being valued in a pattern. You learn that relief is not the same as love. You learn that your nervous system can crave what your future self is begging you to leave. And you learn that the strongest move is not making them miss you. It is no longer abandoning yourself to be chosen by someone who only loved you clearly when they were afraid of losing control.